Hello, everybody. Let us check and to make sure things are working correctly. Ta 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 ta. Do do check check. Yep. Say something. Perfect.
Something.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us again on this, the Little Rascals live stream. Oops, all rogues. It is a Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition game featuring a cast playing exclusively rogue characters. Tonight we are running a little behind as always for technical difficulties. Hashtag oops TLR. So we're just going to kind of dive straight into things so that we can get some headway going here. Is that okay with everybody? Have we got anything important to announce first? Nothing? Okay, cool. Previously on the Little Rascals. The Little Rascals, again, find themselves divided.
Oh, I lied to you. I'm sorry. I'm just going to cut you off real quick. Latia's coming. That's all.
Oh, she is? She's telling me she was going to be in the chat?
Oh, I thought she was going to be in the game. She's just coming late.
She said, I'll be in the chat. I literally just walked in the door and I'm congested. We are going to be missing our perfect lady tiefling tonight. Sorry about that one. I'm going to go. But yes, we're gonna push on through and just let Savvy fade into the distance and be perfectly safe and not in peril at all this evening. But previously, the Little Rascals again find themselves divided. While Thelen was being treated for a virulent poison that nearly took her life, Gragnar, Specs, and Savvy took the newly reclaimed urn of wine back to the Blackbriar estate. There they met their benefactor, Thalia Blackbriar, among a rabble of commoners and nobles alike, feasting and partying the night away in grand fashion. After a short conversation, the party bore witness to the opening of the 1,000-year-old urn of wine. An aroma of which was so powerful, it sent most of the gathered mass into a lurid fit of revelry they had never experienced before. And after consuming some of that wine, Specs and Savvy spent the entire night in revelry, completely bereft of any willpower otherwise. Gragnar, on the other hand, chose to brood on a balcony for many cold, secluded hours alone. Meanwhile, Thelen awoke in a small hovel with a masked caregiver, calling himself the Physiker, who, through some combination of science and magic, managed to draw forth the lethal poison from her body. Free to her own devices, she returned to the Valhurst estate, where she met a young tiefling man named Montgomery, who announced himself to be a private investigator. The two snuck into the Valhurst mansion, past the guard, and stumbled upon a horrific sight as one of the Valhurst family and a presumed dead Watchblade had been transformed into gangly, flesh-eating undead creatures. Before the monsters could devour the party's young ward, Ash, Thelen flung herself, ash in hand, from the 3rd floor down to the cobblestone ground below. The party gathered once again, and after thematically slamming and opening doors through the application of magic, dispatched the undead creatures in short order. Now they all stand among a scene of horror, gore, and ruin, left to piece together what in the 9 hells could have happened here. Their peculiar companion, Basilisk, has absconded and has yet to be seen since their return to the Blackbriar estate. And that is where we're going to start this evening. Basilisk. As the party returned to the Blackbriar estate and Thelen was dragged off, heaving, practically puking her guts out from this poison that had afflicted her so, where did you go?
I went back to the city and just stood inside the general square and waited. I would watch the different people that walked by, the different people that just passerbys, waiting to see if someone was going to speak to me.
A few hours pass, and you can see just the crest of dawn on the far horizon turning behind the buildings, pink and orange. And you see that a woman coming by who is snuffing out the oil lamps in the square peers at you a little quizzical. She snuffs out some of the lamps, and she peers back to you again, seeing that you haven't moved or made motion to do anything in this brisk night. She comes over and says, "Sir, you all right?" This short, kind of frazzle-haired woman.
I am. I was waiting to see if a friend of mine was going to show up.
All right. Well, if you say... She stops, and you see the veins in her neck twisting. Her eyes dart left and right, and a voice chimes out and says, "You have made a right mess of things," from this frail old woman's mouth.
But the job is done. The
That
chef is dead.
That is true. You can find your payment by the sluice gate.
Thank you, master.
The woman takes a shuddery step as though let go from a noose, and she kind of collapses down onto her butt and coughs for just a moment.
I don't think my friend is showing up. Are you alright, ma'am?
What was that? She asks, like looking around, clearly spooked at something.
I think you need a little water. Your voice seems hoarse.
She abandons the implement, this long stick that she was using to snuff out these candles and lamps. She abandons it and everything that has fallen from her person, little scraps of things to wipe her hands with, and she leaves in a hurry.
I go to the dropped location, and
The sluice gate is not even a bow shot from here, right near the docks where the runoff goes into the bay from the city walls so that it doesn't back up and flood the streets.
makes sense.
And when you're there, you look around for 10, maybe 15 minutes. They're never easy to find, these drops. But you do see a stone, a little bit bigger than a gold coin, perfectly smooth and polished. It looks very out of place here. And you know it's probably buried underneath.
I'm gonna take my dagger and then start to dig.
It only takes you a few minutes, not long at all, to unearth a copper box that has been put in this murky, kind of muddy ground.
I'm going to pick up the box and quickly look inside.
When you open the lid, you see that there is a vial, crystal vial, that is stoppered with cork, and the end with cork has been dipped in wax to keep it completely sealed. And there's a small wooden box, maybe the size of your fist, and from inside the wooden box, you see that there are drilled air holes in the top and sides. You hear the skittering of insect legs.
Perfect. I'm to close the box again, put it in my satchel, stand up, take a deep breath. And then what sort of person was the woman that I met? Was she human?
You think she was either human or half-elf. You couldn't tell from the frizzy hair, but you have a general idea if you want to take her form.
I'm going to.
All right.
And I'm
In
gonna-
this
Good.
dark recess behind all these buildings, you transform.
Okay. I really hope they are not dead. Yes. And I'm gonna make my way back to the party.
All right. You keep a good trace on where they come and go for the most part. You're under the impression they probably, at this point, it's been several hours, have returned to the Valhurst estate. It's on one of the earth moats that floats above the broken ruin that was the edge of the city near the quarry. When you get there, down comes an elevator, and scrambling from the elevator you see a guard with a halberd in hand, one of the watchblades of the city. He scurries past you, paying you no mind, but you can tell that he is frightened and in a panic, as if to go and fetch other guards.
You know what? I bet they poisoned someone else. This group might be alright. And I'm gonna get in the elevator.
As you take this lift up, your companions experienced this last time, and you have as well, but as the sun is cresting in the far horizon, it bathes the entire city in this golden purplish glow. It's absolutely beautiful from this high up, and when you get near the top, you can see that there are no guards here. There were 4 before. The door has since been slammed shut for some reason, and your companions are nowhere to be seen outside the building. But you do hear the scream of your bestest, closest friend, Gragnar, in a blood-curdling, being slashed across the back and throat and bitten capacity. From upstairs.
That was accurate.
I pull up my daggers, and then shake my head. That one belongs to me. I'm gonna make my way up.
All right.
But it's not like running. It's more like walking with purpose.
The Michael Myers style, like
Yes.
direct, no nonsense, taking tight turns. I love it. So, a few minutes pass, and then Thelen, Specs, and Gragnar, the 3 of you see an old woman with curly gray hair in a frizz, holding 2 daggers, coming down the hallway with purpose straight towards you.
And this is after Gragnar's on the ground. Specs is over him, trying to get him back up.
You have just come back to your senses, Specs, after
That's
whatever
what I need to know.
whatever this little thing was that happened to rouse Gragnar.
It's her. It's the murderer lady. She's coming up the stairs.
I'm gonna shift back.
Oh, never mind.
The woman rolls her head back languidly, and you see the skin color of the neck begin to change and elongate, and the bones twist and reform underneath this ill-fitting garb until are you taking the form of your half-elven?
Yes.
Until this familiar half-elven form stands in the hallway.
What have you
Basilisk.
gotten yourself into?
Hey, there was some nasty things up here, and old Grags got hurt, and luckily, Thelen whipped some things out, and yeah, I'm over here helping him.
Is Thelen here? Okay.
I'm just standing in the background, like, trying to wipe the ooze of the ghoul and the ghast off my rapier with, like, the disgusting bed sheets. Just, like...
I've been gone for only a few hours, and you have all this fun without me.
I don't know if it was fun, but
I would definitely not call it fun.
I thought it was a little fun.
Yeah.
What you see, Basilisk, in this room is the same sight that you saw before, this gruesome carnage of whatever transpired at this time more than a day ago. You also see that there are 2 freshly killed guards inside this room. One of them slaughtered and left to rot. The other has been gravely wounded in the corner, and he is kind of patching himself up. So that would be 1 dead guard left to rot. One is being eaten. So like parts of its legs are gone. Most of its torso has been flayed open and the organs chewed upon. And the other guard is quietly being tended to by Savvy. In regards to the chat, Savvy then turns and unceremoniously jumps out of the ruined wall from the 3rd floor, slides down the gutter, and displaces herself in the yard beneath.
Show off.
Hey, I mean, sure, if you practice, I'm sure you could do it.
Huh?
What is happening here?
Well, that's what we're here to find out. What are these ghouls doing in here?
Eating.
Well,
I can tell that from looking.
They were. They got a little bit of me. I turn my head and you can see a big chunk missing from my neck.
Yeah, no, stop showing that. That's gross.
Sorry. It like makes a sound every time I turn my head, like, or something like that. So, what do you make of this?
If you had to put a number to it in terms of Gragnar's overall health, the number you would put is 1.
Oh. What do I make of your wound or of this scene?
Sorry, the blood loss just... I forgot where I am. This scene, I guess. But I wouldn't mind maybe a doctor.
You see, Specs is trying to like move Gragnar's hand, like move it, and like trying to apply pressure with his cold metal hands.
The guard, upon seeing Gragnar kind of flex this wound and the blood leak out, this guard who's wounded says nothing else. He does not complain about his wounds anymore. It's about time that you, Felon, you would be closest to the door, still wiping your blade off on this bed that's also covered in blood and gore. You see Montgomery with Ash in tow kind of hobbling down the hallway towards you.
Oh, that's right. There when I was a child.
Well, it's all clear now, but would you mind helping my friend here like you did for me down there? And I'm just gonna point at just the gaping hole on Gragnar's neck. Just like,
Yeah, I don't remember this bone sticking out here before.
Yeah, it was like, this is weird.
Didn't even know I had one there. This might not be mine.
This 5 o'clock shadowed tiefling's eyes go wide, and he says, "Oh, well, all right. I guess if it helps, I can certainly try something." And he lets go of Ash, who leans
You better be sure of it.
wall. He says, "Well, it's not really in my hands, friend." And he holds his holy symbol and puts his hand to your chest, Gragnar, and casts Cure Wounds.
No, it's my neck, not my chest.
The flesh of your neck stitches closed ever so slightly. You regain 14 points.
Oh, well, that felt good. Thank you.
Mistra is looking out for you.
Oh, well, that's nice of her. Do I pay you or you
he
bill me? He
surveys the scene for the first time. Thank you for the bits. He surveys the scene for the first time and gapes. Well, this is nightmare fuel if I've ever seen it.
I mean, not to be that person, but yeah, what the hell's going on here?
exactly. How did an explosion turn into undead? It doesn't really add up.
Hungry undead, to be specific. And you know me, I don't really eat necrotic toast crunch, so I'm just making sure that I know what's going on. That's all. Do you
Well,
know anything? You seem like you are familiar with these parts.
He holds
Never
up
mind.
his hands and he says, I'm just a friend of the Valhurst family. I came here to see if I could help track down what happened.
all right, well, go look around and see if you can find any clues.
All right. What are you four going to do?
We're gonna split up and look for clues.
Like zoinks, y'all. Yeah. He says, well, okay.
Jinkies.
I guess I can start looking in the bedrooms if you four want to peruse this room. See if we can find something that matters, I guess.
I don't think we need 4 of us to look in the room. I'll go check somewhere else.
You'd be shocked.
Sorry, what?
You'd be shocked.
Yeah. I don't know what he said, and that's okay. I'm just gonna pretend like I didn't, nod my head.
Montgomery nods along with you, unsure what's happening. I said, all right, I'll take the kids' bedrooms, I guess.
Make sure you check the ceilings.
Ceilings, I got it. You
Don't,
see,
don't stand in one place too long.
I was there for like 5 seconds.
5 seconds too long.
5 seconds too long.
he nods and kind of with the warning, he draws this club from his belt and holds it in his hand, and he nods like there could still be dangerous stuff here. He hadn't really considered that.
Yeah.
And as he exits into the hallway and walks further into the building, Ash follows behind him, kind of like a puppy, unsure where to go or who to latch onto.
Is there any other rooms on this floor?
Yes, there are 4 bedrooms on this floor and 1 storage room on this floor. So there's 6 total doorways.
Got it.
Why don't we each check a bedroom?
I'll touch storage.
I'll stay here.
I just want to stab something, so I'll check as many as I have to.
I'll just limp behind Basilisk. I'll come with you.
Thank you
Sure.
for aid.
Sure.
All right. So we'll tackle Specs first, since it's straight across the hallway into the storage closet.
Doopy doop doop. I'm gonna check some storage now.
You swing the door open, and inside this room there are several shelves that go all the way up almost to the ceiling. And you see that there are linens and scraps of stuff, and there's also a ladder that leads up into the attic. This room seems fairly in order and untouched. A lot of cleaning supplies and some extra stuff you would need to attend to guests in this manner. Basins, empty vases for water, stuff like that, extra decanters. It just seems like a lot of stuff that you would need to kind of support these bedrooms, including, chamber pots and shit like that.
Okay. Yeah, he'll just kind of step in and look around and make sure there's like nothing out of place, nothing like because he's like explosion, but there are undead after the explosion. And in my humblest opinion, fire doesn't beget undead. So he's going to make sure there's like no way into the house from the storage room or anything like that. Just kind of get surveying.
Other than the crawl space from the attic, no, you don't see any. Another hype train. Thank you so much, everyone.
Oh, yeah.
But you could go up the ladder if you so chose.
Yes, I will go up the ladder because I ain't scared of no ghost.
As you ascend.
I'm an adult virgin. Sorry.
All right, I'm dead. We'll take a moment to recuperate. Thank you, chat, and everyone for the bits and subscriptions. Thank you so much. All right. Let's rinse that out. Gragnar, where did you go?
Well, I'm following behind Basilisk.
Basilisk and Gragnar, the two of you are headed to one of the bedrooms?
Yes.
So when you change, do you feel like your insides and moving around and stuff?
I suppose technically it's like have you ever moved clay?
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
It's like my entire body is clay.
Pretty cool. How short can you be?
Pretty cool. How short can you be?
Damn it. Okay, well, this is getting weird. Let's look around.
Let's look around.
You see that
I just gotta narrow my eyes and then motion my hand to the door ahead and like, don't say something else for him to copy.
Basilisk, you have a long and storied history of learning how to let the vital liquids in people escape. And when you look at Gragnar, since the last time you've seen him, there seems to be some kind of tightness, some kind of barrier almost to his flesh. You can just kind of feel like it would be hard to hurt Gragnar. And there's that weird kind of instinctual thing. Like when you see the difference between a horse and a rhinoceros without touching it, you can just instinctually tell that there's something about Gragnar that's changed. And Gragnar swings open the bedroom door since you've paused and started looking at him, and he's squinting to try and get by you. Magically, this door opens.
You're different.
As are you. I like different. I can use different.
Are you hitting on me?
No, I'm blurry for some reason.
Are you hitting on me and that's why... Is that why you followed me to the bedroom? No.
No.
No. No? Insight check.
You do not need to roll insight checks or persuasion checks on your fellow companions. We would always assume that those are a middling success. So for Gragnar, you think there's a lot going on with Gragnar right now. All of your companions seem a little befuddled, and they have had a long day. Gragnar just recuperated from some dire, grievous wound that absolutely may have possibly killed him.
So he's not into me, though. That's all I need to know.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Then yeah, I'll follow him into the room. That's all I'll do.
Go on in.
Inside this room, you see that there are a set of bunk beds carved from wood that's so far and exotic that the two of you could probably sell it for a couple $100 gold, just the frame for these beds. The whole place is opulently done up as the rest of the house has been, but you do see all of the linens and all of the things traditionally that would be taken care of have been thrown about as clothes were pulled out of the armoire and stacked up. Things have been tossed about as though the kids were scrambling to find things in a hurry. The two of you, without even rolling an insight check, would probably understand this may have been when they were told to get out of the house.
Mm.
So it was ghouls, yes?
At least one of them.
What all did you fight?
There was some pale-skinned thing with long claws. Had a tongue about a foot long.
That's not a vampire, never mind.
Is there anything missing in this room? Does it look like something's been taken out of a spot? Like, is there dust settled somewhere and not in others?
This room seems very, very recently used. Nothing seems more out of place than the general turnover of jerking the kids out of bed and taking them from the house.
So question, Gragnar.
Yeah.
These things were pale, correct?
Yeah, one of them.
Chances are they do not see very much light. Is there a basement in this place?
That's a good question. I'm not sure, but seeing as how high up we went, maybe it's reasonable there's something underneath.
And if something is underneath, then
maybe something's coming from underneath. That's
or
worth a
something
shot.
is still underneath. Plus, to be honest, I've come into a basement before.
I will just say something to keep in mind. You are 1,000 feet floating over the city on a moat of earth. So any basement that's here would lead to stone or 1,000-foot drop below. So you are under the impression it would not be a deep basement, is my point. But there could still be something in there, a larder, things like that, to check out, certainly.
So, if that's the case, it's even possible that if there is a hole in the basement, they could have flown up from the bottom and gotten in that way.
It is strange. They must have come through maybe the elevator, or maybe they originated here, right?
Right now, there are ways to get up without an elevator.
I don't spend very much time in the skies.
I don't spend. Fair. Yes.
I think we're done in here. Let's check another room.
The two of you see that Montgomery and Ash have turned from a bedroom as well, and it seems to be more or less the same in dimensions and overall accoutrement as this one, but it's a single bed instead of a bunk bed. And it seems to have been filled with female garments, probably from one of the younger children of the Valhurst estate. You did meet one teenage girl last night, so chances are this may have been her bedroom. It seems more or less the same. Some stuff tossed around as though rousing quickly and escaping from the room in a hurry.
I feel like we need to give you inspiration for the word accoutrement.
Thanks.
I'll
take it.
Take it. Just don't use it on my neck.
Right? The four of you, this will be Montgomery, Ash, Gragnar, and Basilisk, meet at the third bedroom. All of you can smell coming from this bedroom putrefaction, blood, or viscera, even before you open the door. Thelen.
Side note, I'm going to name my daughter Putrefaction. Thank you.
Putrefaction is one of my favorite words. The chat. I love you. I love you all. You're going crazy. I can't even keep up with this shit. I love you. Thank you so much for all of the follows, emotes, gifts, subscriptions, everything. Thank you all so very much. Thelen, you're left alone in this opulent bedroom. The wind still whistles as it goes by the blown out hole in the wall where part of the ceiling is missing. Now, to give you the lay of the land, the guard who was wounded here has since brought himself out into the hallway and is going down the stairs, hobbling, wounded, but he's on his feet and kind of leaving you to your own devices. He seems a stone's throw from death himself, and you know that less hardy individuals, it's probably been even more rough on him than it was on Gragnar. He extricates himself from the scene and leaves you to your own business. This room has one massive California king-size bed. That bed is not covered in debris, but it is covered in gore. There are pieces, parts of two people, easy to see in this bed. Through the sheets, the linens, all the way down through the feather mattress. Blood. In the floor, you can see the guard that was chewed upon by the ghouls. The one ghoul who was certainly a guard, very, very fresh. And the other was one of the Valhurst children. He seems to be a veteran in his mid-20s with partial red beard, the telltale red hair, and the dark skin of the Valhurst family. He seems to have been flayed at some part even before the intervention of Specs, Gragnar, and yourself. The rest of the room has partially collapsed from the ceiling from where the corner of the house was blown away. The ceiling has caved in and there is debris in the middle of this room. Even a cursory glance, you can see that there is fabric and blood pooling underneath this debris as though it fell atop more of this carnage. Across the room, where the guard was propped up, opposite the bed, is an armoire that Gragnar flung open previously with a mage hand. It seems empty, and clothes are hanging inside, more or less untouched. And that is the scene that you are greeted with.
I want to start taking all the bodies and laying them out, like put the eaten guard and the dead guard next to each other, like take the biggest pieces of the people in the bed and like put them next to like the Valhurst ghoul and like kind of strip the bed and like move things around to just see how many like different bodies there are, because it seems like a lot of gore for not a lot of people, especially considering at least 2 of them are very fresh.
You move the dead guard. He seems to have just had his head smashed against the stones here in this bedroom. Unceremoniously, he just lost his life in some kind of melee, perhaps with these creatures that you dispatched. The guard who turned into this undead abomination has been twisted by some kind of arcane, dark magic, but more or less he is intact as well. It seems there may have been some broken bones, but other than the damage you did to him, there's not a whole lot there other than a bite on the collar where his neck gorget meets his chest. The gorget has been peeled away, and there was a big chunk missing from his neck. And that is probably the wound that killed him. It does not take you much to discern that information. The young Valhurst noble, when you begin to manipulate him, his skin feels thick like the hide of a cow, and his muscles feel like cables underneath the skin. Bones feel hard and difficult to move, and his head doesn't loll. It's like he's already partially in rigor mortis. And when you pull him aside and turn him over, you see there is a large wound in his abdomen where whatever organs were inside are gone. Not surgically removed. Whatever did this had to have clawed him open. You see it pierced through ribs, his tunic, easy, like a dagger. The people on the bed will take you a very long time if you want to move them elsewhere. Even just looking at them, you can tell that the pieces that remain have been gnawed upon quite substantially, to the point where they're almost completely gone, like picking apart a game bird that has been baked. You see that there are pieces of bone and strips of flesh and blood soaked through the mattress, but what's left is hardly even human enough to put together, humanoid at the very least. You can tell from what remains they were probably Valhurst, more than likely the lord and lady of this place. From the bed, you can see around some of the debris that has collapsed between here and where you flung yourself from the 3rd floor down below. From here you can tell that there are other people underneath the roof that has collapsed. Kind of close to where the floor begins to give way, where you would leap from, where none of you have traversed quite yet. But you can see that this carnage stretches all the way to the center of the room. You want to just continue to kind of piece things together and look?
Yeah, I want to like check under the bed, like around the armoire, under the debris that I don't think the floor will collapse underneath me.
The place is made of this strong Uhanian stone from the quarry here in this city, and it seems very, very stable, even after this partial collapse and removal of part of the ceiling. You hear behind you the thunk, thunk, thunk of specs going up into the attic, and a door clatter behind him where he has entered the attic and shut the door.
Probably like more like a tap dancing routine as he goes up. Thump, 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 thump.
Gragnar and Basilisk. The two of you, hackles up, stand at the door. Ash, who is wounded herself, stands ready as well. And you see that she pulls out this gnarled-looking black wand that has an amethyst embedded halfway up. And she holds it between two fingers, like a single chopstick. And she holds it out towards the door as though she's ready to cast a spell if need be. Montgomery has a club in one hand and his hand on the little depressor knob for the door with the other. And he looks at you three like, are you ready for me to open this door?
Dagger in one hand. Gonna turn it around a little bit.
I will materialize one of my psychic blades. Shh. We're ready now.
Montgomery swings open the door. The room is very cold, unexpectedly so. And you see that there has been some type of fight here, some type of strange melee that has happened. The bed is partially cut. There's claw marks all over the armoire and the wall. Part of the trunk at the foot of the bed has been broken and collapsed. There is a clear indentation in one of the walls, a faux wood wall that divides this room from the next. That faux wood wall has a collapsed portion in it that looks like a shoulder or perhaps a head had slammed into it, and there's small traces of bright red humanoid blood. The smell from this room is considerably worse than that of the Valhurst main bedroom, filled with viscera and rotting pieces of meat. The smell here is so substantial that had you had to stay here long term, you are not sure that you could do so. So bad that Montgomery turns with his hand clasped over his nose and mouth back into the hallway. Ash waves her wand, kind of grimacing at the smell as well, and you see that the window shutters open and kind of slams a bit. "What in God's name is that smell?" she says, taking a step back and finally covering her mouth with her robe sleeve.
Probably a body. What? You.
It smells worse than a body. Why don't you go in and check?
Okay.
We got your back.
You hear
What's a vote of
Montgomery
confidence?
trying not to puke.
I want to... Sorry.
I was just going to say, Basilisk, what are you doing?
I'm gonna take a rag and wrap it around my face.
Perfect. When you step inside, you see the same scene that you saw from the hallway, but you can discern from the wall that you could not see from the hallway. There has definitely been one hell of a fight here. A sconce has been pulled from the wall. Part of the bed has been burned as though oil was thrown on something and lit aflame. It looks like one hell of a fight took place here. And the smell seems to be coming from the opposite side of the bed from where you are, near the window. There is an armoire to your left, a bed to your right, and a small table with a basin that has been broken, a ceramic basin and a ceramic pitcher, both that have been broken, and water still drips, drip, drip, from a crack in the basin.
I'm gonna get a little closer to the basin and just gauge the smell if I can.
When you get close to the basin, you can tell that there's just clean water in it.
Mm-hmm.
And it drips down onto the stone floor, soaking into the rug that is underneath the bed. And when you kind of stoop to follow where this water runs, you can see a glow, a very gentle glow, from the opposite side of the bed, as though it's haphazardly thrown underneath something that's glowing, this pale kind of blue luminescence. And there seems to be a pile or a small puddle of something over there as well.
I'm gonna go over. I'm dumb nosy.
Over the bed, around the bed, under
Around
the
the
bed.
bed.
I'm gonna have
Around it.
Basilisk's back as he does this. I would probably step into the room, check the ceiling to make sure it's clear, and then kind of just wait and have something ready in case.
Take a point of inspiration, Justice, for this
Okay.
this
I'll take
wonderful this wonderful adhesion to looking at the ceiling.
I'll only be tricked once.
You see Basilisk round the bed, and his eyes go a little wide and then narrow. Basilisk, you see that there is a longsword here that is glowing on the ground. It is partially, about 3/4, covered in some kind of disgusting black ichor that is frozen solid to the blade. It is poking out from the edge of the bed, just the tip of the blade poking out from the edge of the bed, next to what looks to be a robe of human skin that has been haphazardly dislodged and piled onto the ground. There are little beetles eating at it.
I'm gonna grab the sword
Do you grab it by the blade or by the handle?
by the handle.
As you scoot down and reach underneath the bed to pull free the sword, you get close to this pile of discarded viscera, and you are without a doubt certain it is the blade that smells so terrible, not the pile of skin. And when you pull it free, this platinum-hilted longsword is very light in your hand, but tilted very much toward the blade, as there's maybe 2 cups of this ichor that has been stabbed onto it and frozen.
Disgusting.
I want to telepathically say, what's over there? Just in case there's someone there, like having a sword to him or something, because I can't see. I want him to be able to respond not out loud.
You can see him standing there with a sword in his hand, looking at it.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think if I light it on fire, it would be a good idea or a bad one?
And generally, I think things outside of sconces, braziers, and torches probably shouldn't be lit on fire, but if you're feeling up for it, just let me know and I'll take a step or 2 back.
Ash, other one. Back up a little bit.
They both are the opposite side of the hallway from you. And the other one, the tiefling man, says, "Montgomery C. Ballinger."
Yeah.
Wonderful. Then I'll look at Gragnar. I learned a new trick. And I'm going to cast Produce Flame in my hand and move the blade with the black, specifically the black ichor, over the flame to see if it reacts at all.
When you do,
Mm-hmm.
and you waft this magical fire underneath the blade, you see where the flames lap at the exposed metal, this platinum metal of this sword. The flames have literally no effect, as though they do not exist at all. But where they hit this black ichor on the sword, it begins to pop and sizzle and then light on fire. Specs, you have climbed into the attic and shut the door behind you. You can shut the door once you're up here because a big portion of the attic and the roof has been blown away from the master bedroom. Here, the light from outside is bathing in bright as can be. You see that this is mainly used for storage. You cannot even stand up to your full height. You're kind of hunched down halfway. Gragnar could fit easily, but you're having to hunch to stay in here at this angled roof. You can smell a fairly bad stench coming from one of the nearby bedrooms and see just a small hole in the floor of this attic near where that smell is coming from. When you look around, you see there are small boxes. There are, again, more shelves and storage. Here you see that there are wooden boxes nailed shut that probably have family heirlooms, curtains, bullshit like that in it. But you also see that it seems something has moved around in this attic at some point. From over there, where the hole is, to the giant gaping missing hole where the attic is. You can tell it because from what its feet have done to the floor, its claws must be sharp as daggers. You see rivulets cut through the wood of this attic.
So, just from my mind's eye, the hole where the group currently, the hole is over like where the group currently is.
Where you left Thelen, there's a hole. There's a hole that leads outside. That part of the building is just collapsed and blown away.
Yeah.
Between there and a small manhole, like New York style manhole hole, there are claw marks. And that hole that you spot off in the distance, maybe 30 feet from you, leads down into one of the bedrooms. But it's completely black. You can't see where it might lead.
Yeah. Okay.
You just kind of see the dark outline where you can tell a hole is. And there are little flinders of wood around it, like something had clawed up the floor here to get beneath.
Okay. Then he will start to head over towards the direction just to make sure like what that is and what anything else is around the surrounding area could be.
The floor creaks and groans underneath you. Can we get F's in chat for Justice and his unfocusing camera?
Damn it, I'm so sorry. I hate this shit. I don't want to freaking start it over and then it mess up all of the alignment of all our stuff. So I have to like...
I saw you like get real close and I'm like, that's weird.
I'm like, what is he doing?
Here, I don't want to ruin the moment, so just give me a second. And then
I mean, take all the time you need. It's both hilarious and very heartbreaking. So Specs, as you're walking, the floor groans underneath you. Man, just try it. Just click it. I'll fix it if I need to. Instead, he's going to show us the gun show.
Right? Zeddy.
How fit. How perfect of a human. Specs, the floor groans underneath you as you walk to this hole. And when you get close to it, the smell is very bad. You can tell that, even though it doesn't really bother you as much as it might, living humans. Whatever comprises you is less affected by this foul odor. But it is oddly familiar to you, this smell, despite it being pretty bad. And you see the hole leads down into what looks like some kind of box filled with scraps of cloth and pieces of clothing. It looks to be some kind of armoire or dresser that this hole leads straight down into.
It leads into a dresser? Interesting. That's weird. But he's curious, so he's going to try to climb down and see what it leads.
Yeah, you can easily climb down this hole. It's more than big enough for you, which is a bit of a surprise considering how bulky your body is. And when you set down into this armoire, you see that there are military garb in here as well that kind of crush underneath your feet. And there are medals and little storyboards and things of that nature, silver coins from far distant lands stuck on the inside of this armoire with little metal pins as if to be displayed. And when you land, it makes a big racket and the doors rattle a bit. And then the doors are flung open and light blinds you for just a moment as Gragnar nearly stabs you with a psychic blade. And you see that Basilisk, is holding a sword perpendicular to the floor and is bathing it in fire, and blood that is caked onto this blade, this black, thick, oozy blood, is sputtering to life, catching fire. And Specs, you hear screams. Very faint, thin screams, as if a reflection from a memory, as this blood burns away on this blade.
A lot of the screams, am I perceiving it as something happening, or is this
It's hard to perceive if it's actually happening or if it's some kind of strange recollection to you.
Either way, hearing that and seeing the flame, he's going to be like, no! And he's going to instantly dim the flame. He's not going to put it out because he can't. But instinctively, he's going to be like, no! What is going on?
Basilisk, you were holding the flame to this blood stuck to this certainly magical blade. And when it begins to sputter and catch fire, it peels back as though it's trying to escape from the flames for a moment. And then slowly it coalesces into this small pseudopod, as though it's reaching out for the heat.
Stop it. I don't like that.
Yeah, so Specs comes down and kind of, no, stop. And you see this small, little thin thread of a pseudopod reaching towards your hand and stop. And when you do, it freezes over again from contact with this sword.
So we need artificial flame. Well, not artificial. We just need flame that's not attached to me. Hello, Specs.
Hello? Can you explain to me why you are holding a sword that was screaming?
Gragnar, Basilisk, the two of you didn't hear any screams.
That is the sound of crackling fire. But if you consider the scream, okay, I suppose.
No. I know fire. I get that stuff. I've heard, sitting by the campfire, singing songs. That's a thing. No. It was screaming.
Been a stressful day, hasn't it?
I mean, I'm a robot. I don't really get stressed, but I just...
What's a robot?
I heard someone call me that once, and I guess it has a nice ring to it.
I like that, too.
Yeah, Warforged is just really hard to say. Yeah, Warforged, cool. Robot. It's like, boom.
Robot. I like robot.
Yeah, me too. Not really sure what it stands for, but it works.
I found this sword under the bed next to a pile of flesh.
You say that like it's a regular occurrence.
Would you mind if he reaches out to hold the sword?
I want it back.
I don't use swords. I don't use this sword. That's disgusting. But he's gonna look at it and is there anything about this that's familiar?
The sword itself doesn't strike you as overly familiar, no. But with the recollection of that strange smell, and now you're in proximity to what's making it, it's horrifically bad, especially when a flame was put to it. But being this close to it and smelling it on this blade, whatever that black sludge is fairly familiar to you. Why don't you roll me an Arcana check, and you get an advantage because you are familiar with this. And it would be Arcana, not History. Sorry.
No, that's fine. 13.
A 13 is enough. With a 13, you know this to be demon ichor. The blood or bile, the primordial ooze in which demonkind was formed. This sword cut a demon. You are 100% certain. Why that would be familiar to you isn't, but what it is, you're fairly certain.
Oh, yeah. You see him like surveying it and looking at the black shit, and as he's looking at it, he kind of first surveys, and if anybody looks at him as he's doing it, you see his eyes slowly start to shift towards a like black void like state, and quickly snap back. Oh wow. Hope you like killing demons, because that's what this is.
Or just like killing, but sure.
I mean, I don't know if it's like attuned to like killing demons, but there's definitely demon shit on it. Like, you see it? This part right here. It's probably from his thorax or something.
That makes sense why it reached out to flames.
Yeah, cause they kind of like that abyssal stuff. Yeah, I guess it makes sense. Yeah.
So wait, it was killing demons. It stinks in here, which means that there were most likely demons in here.
Probably.
I want to walk over as they're talking and say, maybe something more than demons. And I kind of kick my foot at the weird skin cloak and say, who on earth would wear something like this? And kind of kick a sleeve open.
When you do, and you start to kick it and look at it, you see that it's not just a robe made of skin. It seems to be all of a humanoid person's skin.
Yo.
Completely intact. Where the mouth would open has been peeled wide as though stretched over something. But it is a completely intact, still wearing clothes, half-elven skin, slightly tan with blonde hair.
I guess it is the largest organ.
Montgomery.
Something C.
That's right. You got it right the first try. Thank you, sir.
Do you know a half-elf with tan skin that's blonde?
He says, I mean, would it stand to reason they worked here? I have a list of the people employed by the Valhurst family, if that helps.
I reach down and grab the hair, and I hold it up, and I say, someone who looks like this, but a little bit more filled out.
Oh, gods! Oh, gods!
I kick Ragnar. Not the damage, but just...
No poison pans.
But I have standards.
Oh. I didn't know that. And I just drop it.
When you do, it lands on the bed and slides for a moment off into the floor. There's this liquidy stuff inside it. There's no blood or gore. It's just this liquidy kind of, I hate to say, but snot inside it.
I telepathically say to Basilisk, kind of low key, like, I don't want to be rude, but do you leave something like this behind sometimes? All right, I'll take that as a no.
You don't get a psychic reply, but there is this weird niggling pain in the back of your head.
Oh. All right, well, I kind of just nod and look the other way.
Stepping into the room, he follows your suit, Basilisk, and covers his mouth with a cloth with one hand. Montgomery comes in holding this ledger, and he says, the Valhurst family used to hire me to check on these people before they got hired here. I would check their background and see all the things that they had done if they got in problems with the law. There was a half-elven man here. He was employed about 2 years ago. I think I remember checking up on this guy. I never saw him face to face, but he checked out. He actually served with... Well, he actually served with Master Jazar. I think that's his sword. He was some kind of war hero. I think that's probably what happened in this room. Some kind of fight, maybe.
That makes sense.
But then that doesn't explain why there's like a them, but in costume form.
Something took all of its insides.
Or something left them behind.
That would mean it took them, yes.
Maybe it needed what was on the inside to do its job. I don't get it.
No, I'm
Skeleton.
yeah. Well, I'm no expert on costumes, but
I am.
well, yeah. But I have seen you wear a jumpsuit before, and is this really that different? Well,
Yes.
I mean, yeah, it's really different.
Maybe the demons like to have cosplay contests, and they needed this one, but it wasn't that good, so they left it and took another. Or maybe they just needed the insides to complete their. I don't know. Maybe
I
it's
think
like
you're onto something.
As Specs is having this soliloquy close to the camera, one by one you all slide into the background anime style, completely featureless, as you listen to it. And then the little dots appear over all of your heads until Specs finishes. And Montgomery says, maybe. You have to take all these things into account.
I'm just saying, perhaps, I'm not like arcane like Grags is, but perhaps you don't need the outside to become what's on the inside. Maybe they only needed the inside. Huh.
There were no organs, right? Just skin.
Just skin.
We have not seen, well, there has not been two of the same creatures so far as we know. There has been one demon, one ghoul, and one whatever the long-tongued beast was. So why is there an assortment of creatures in this place? Why did this elf die, but the demon was still here?
Montgomery ponders this for a second, and he says, well, Jazal was a war hero, but both of his parents were too. Both of them are just as deadly with a blade as any watchblade in this city. What if they took this form to get close? Some kind of ambush, maybe. Your friend came from the ceiling. What if that's how they snuck up on Master Jazal?
Are the parents still in the city?
I think the parents are on the bed in the master bedroom.
Oh.
Pulled apart right now. And you can tell that there's like a shrink wrap of tears that he's kind of blinking back, thinking about this family he's worked with so often in the past being pulled apart in this way. And he says, if you'll excuse me, I'll go check on Thelen.
Yeah.
He leaves the book with you, Basilisk, if you want it. If you don't,
I'll
he
take
takes it. Yeah.
I'll take it. So this is the problem. It seems like something was smart enough to kill a character, to reduce them to nothing but a sack, and then potentially kill their parents, tear them apart. Now, did it get what it needed, or is it still here?
Well, this stuff. I point towards the ichor. I didn't see this anywhere else. Did you all?
No, not upstairs. I just came and saw this hole.
Something left it behind.
Ash, kind of shakily in the doorway, still has her robe kind of pushed around the edge of her hand, covering her face. She says, Master Theris, he was the one that blew up the bedroom, she says. I saw whatever was attacking the family. She seems so confused, as though she has conflicting orders on what to do. But she kind of takes a moment and then spills, and she says, he was here, Master, and I was in my bird form and flew up to check on the family, she says. I saw what happened in the bedroom and warned him he was already here, inside the house, in that bedroom. She points to the end of the hall. I think that was him trying to kill or stop whatever it was. He told me not to say anything, that it could ruin his position here in the city, it being such a riot and all. But this was his doing in the master bedroom. The explosion. They were already dead, being eaten by something. I couldn't see it through the window. If only I had seen it, I could be more help, but whatever it was bad.
What did you see before you warned Theris?
She's like wiping her face and getting tears out of her eyes. You see, she's had a long fucking day too. And she says, there was a commotion, and he sent word to me. I did not stay here. I stayed on the first floor, and told me to look in the bedroom. I took to my form as an owl and flew up there and peered inside, and the windows were covered in pieces of people. There was some big shape. It looked like the creature that you killed. I hoped it was the creature that we killed. The one that nearly ate me. But that thing didn't have demon blood. And she's like grabbing onto her elbow sheepishly. And she says, I don't know. If Master tried to kill something, it has never lived before. Ever. He is far too powerful for that.
And yet it has.
We don't know. We haven't found it, right? It could be dead. This could just be aftermath. She says, and you can tell she's not very hopeful that that's true. As though whatever this was a little bit more than she expected to be facing alone without her master in the city.
Is she inside the room?
She's in the doorway.
Is the door facing out to the hallway or into the room? I'd like to slowly close it.
Yeah, it would be into the room. You never open up into a hallway. And when she sees the door slowly closing, she kind of defeatedly, knowing, like a kid that's done something wrong and finally got caught, and the parents don't scold him immediately, just like are disappointed. She turns and starts to walk after Montgomery back towards where Thelen is. Click. The door closes.
Well, I meant I wanted to keep her in the room with us.
Oh. If you want to keep her in the room, you would
like
more than
ominously
likely need
shut
to
the
pull
door.
her inside.
Never mind. That won't work. I would like to say, well, why is she telling us this now? Why not tell us this earlier?
Yeah, I was like, as she was talking, I wanted to like look for any sincerity.
So that would be an insight check from you, Specs. And when you ask her, Gragnar, why she hid this, like he said, my master told me that this would be problematic when he came back. It's taken us so long to get a hold on the city and get the respect of the people here. It was better that they think that there was some kind of calamity. I don't know. I was just doing what he told me to do. What'd you roll, Specs?
15.
She seems pretty shaken and like she's kind of afraid, not only from what's happened, but because she's spilling her guts to you. Like she could get in serious trouble, and you've met Master Theris. You know he probably doesn't suffer this kind of thing easily.
Okay.
And where was Montgomery during all of this?
I've never seen him before he saved my life.
Never before?
No. I've only been in the city a few months now. Staying here with the Valhursts.
But he said he seems to be the one who checks people out.
Well, they have not hired anyone in a while.
You've never seen this elf before?
He could have been one of the people working at the stables. I'm not the best with faces. Half the time I'm an owl. She laughs. It is my preferred form.
It's so sad.
She kind of smiles.
From the body that's there, would that be enough for me to visually try to recreate it?
Recreate the person?
Like, to change myself to look like that person.
It would take you a little while, but if you kind of laid it out on this clawed up, blood spattered bed and really gave it a go, I think that you could probably manage it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to try to do.
Felon. Montgomery is standing behind you, and you kind of realize it from just his presence. But when you hear footsteps ascending the stairs, you turn back that direction and see him. And you see that he's kind of ghostly pale still, as though he's kind of on the verge of throwing up. You've cleared away a large swath of this rubble and just kind of slung it out of the house, knocked it down the 3 floors where it would land and fall in the grass and the cobble. And thus far, you see that there are no fewer than 6 people underneath the rubble alone. And the 2 in the bed. And young Master Valhurst. And the 2 guards. 11 people lost their lives in this room alone. It's about that time behind Montgomery, Watchblades come into the house wearing their telltale plate armor and their livery, this silver inlaid purple sash that all of them wear. And they come in and it's kind of spread out down the hallway. And one of them steps into the room, this thick-necked, hulking man. What the fuck was that? This thick-necked, hulking man who comes into the room, and he says, "Who are you?" With a pointed finger. Not accusatorily or that you're in trouble. It's just he does not know who you are, and he's asking very curtly, "Who are you?"
Felon Shadowbrace. I work for the city morgue.
He turns and grabs a watchblade and drags them bodily into the room and says, "You stay with her or I have your skull." "Yes, sir." He says, "Mistress Felon," and turns and leaves the room. "Who are you?" to Montgomery. Montgomery, I work for the Valhursts. He grabs another watchblade and, like, cuffs him on the head loud enough that you hear his skull hit the inside of his helmet. And he said, "You watch this one." "Yes, sir." The guy spits out. And the rest of the watchblades go deeper into the hallway. The watchblade who has been assigned to you surveys all this destruction and nods grimly at you. You see through the eye slits in his helmet that he's probably fairly young, and he stands out of your way, but as though he's here not to guard you, but to protect you. And he does not want to impede your work.
Montgomery, do you know who's missing? Like, who's unaccounted for after this whole...
He says, well, there were only a handful of people who stayed here overnight. Probably this many, if I had to guess, who weren't family. It was more of a skeleton crew overnight. And he says, of the people, I can't imagine that there would be more than 7 here at any one time overnight. Excluding the family, of course, he says. You have pieced together that 6 people were killed in the middle of this room, very unceremoniously, all in close proximity. But the one thing that you do notice with a strange certainty is that of the 6 people who were killed, there are 5 bodies that have since been crushed, partially eaten. Some of them were alive and experienced a lot of pain before death. But there's one that you have only found a tuft of red hair. Part of a scalp, maybe. And that is it.
It
is a strawberry blonde, not the deep, dark red of the Valhurst family. This weird strawberry blonde, pale chunk of flesh.
I'm gonna take out like a handkerchief and just kind of put it in there and fold it up and tuck it away in a little pouch. You know everyone who worked here, correct?
I knew of them before they were hired, that's for certain, he says.
Would you be able to give me descriptions of all of them?
He says, I have them all written down in my ledger. Your friend, the shape-shifting one, has it.
Could you take me to him?
Sure, he says, right down the hallway. Specs, Gragnar, and Basilisk. Basilisk takes the form, slowly, as if judging, measuring each piece of himself. Takes the form of this half-elven man with long, blonde hair, kind of dark, tanned, calloused hands, seems to be some kind of worker. A few moments later, you hear the footsteps of armored and armed people coming down the hallway your direction.
What's that?
You see that they are watchblades, most of them falling in line behind a central figure, a huge, thick-necked brute of a man, carrying no discernible weapon other than a pair of knives on his waist belt. And he steps forward into the room. The smell seeming to bother him, he shakes his head, but he puts it out of his mind. And person to person, he asks each one of you who you are. Ash says who she is. Ashrava Everbleed, she says.
I'm Specs.
Gregnar Frostblade.
Gravin del Toa.
And after you all introduce yourselves, he nods again, and he looks to the remaining 6 Watchblades he has, and he says, you, and you. Each one of you on one of them. And each of them kind of nod, and they don't come in the room because it's still cold from whatever effect the sword has, though it's warming greatly and the smell is dissipating through the open window, but it's still kind of inhospitable and a little cramped with all of you in there. He turns and takes another step and grabs hold of the one standing next to Ash and pulls him close and puts his gauntleted finger against the man's helmet, right where his nose would be, and says, if that one gets hurt, I will kill you. Yes, sir, the guy behind the helmet says. And he marches back down the hallway as if to check out the rest of the house or maybe leave. These 4 Watchblades, all eyes open inside the slits of their masks, just kind of stand in the hallway.
I'm sorry, I don't believe we caught your names.
This one guy says, Zukov. Sorry, that's Master Zusog. He's the head of the Watchblades here. I think maybe you have friends in high places. We were told to watch over you, protect you as if you were our children. He kind of laughs, seeing that you're all fairly well armed and capable yourselves. He says, we'll stay out of your way. All 3 of you would probably know of Zusog Grimdak. He is half orc, some say 3/4 orc, leader of the Watchblades. He has had the post for several years.
Well, your timing is wonderful. We were actually planning to explore down below, so having a extra hand would be helpful.
Can I ask a question? One of the Watchblades says.
Of course.
Is that your skin on the bed?
Oh, that was merely what is the good word? Decoy to trick a demonic creature.
They shudder as if they had a chill. Okay, they say, nodding. The clearly feminine voice hidden behind the plate armor.
Good news is that it worked.
Yeah.
This one was still injured. I point to Gragnar.
Yeah, I got injured. If I had a neck like your boss, maybe I wouldn't have fallen so fast. But
can you roll me a charisma check, Gragnar?
Oh, God. Yeah. Raw charisma, sir?
Yes.
Okay. I got a +0. I got a 10. The most basic of rolls.
You do have inspiration. If you wink, if you want to use it.
Nah, I'm good.
Okay. With a 10, one of the Watchblades kind of takes a step forward and the other holds out an arm. And then the other kind of looks like...
Is it one of his arms or one from the floor?
One of his arms.
Okay.
Stopping his fellow from entering the room, perhaps to trounce you. And just gives him that nod, calm the fuck down. He didn't mean it like that.
Apologies for the idiot.
There's and then one of the Watchblades says, Commander Zusog is not to be mocked, Duragar.
Hey! Hold on now. And Specs steps forward.
Sushi's filling out of his mouth.
He didn't mean all that. Stand the fuck down.
I was merely admiring his neck size. And I thought your boss asked you to protect us.
I put my mouth over Greg. I'm putting whoop. Hold on. I put my hand over Gragnar's mouth. Apologies for the dumb one. There is obviously been some brain damage, and
It's not his fault. It's not our guy here's fault either. Zusog saved him just a couple days ago. He's been like a puppy. Please don't take any offense. We're so sorry, sir.
Apologies.
He's something of a hero to all of us. It can be difficult. He's saying, placatively moving his hands, like sincerely trying to kind of bridge this gap and make up, repair for what happened.
No worries.
Specs is just staring at the one who insulted Gragnar.
He's still bristled, but kind of taken a few steps back.
We're on the second floor. Don't make me go Bignar and stomp through the floor again.
Bignar!
To the basement, if there is one.
Yes. Assuming we're free to leave.
They are guarding us, you idiot!
Of course. We'll go where you go.
Can the three of you do me a favor? Go to the other room and go get our friend.
Oh no, we got two guys out there too.
No, that's fine.
Oh, here they come.
Amazing.
Thelen sweeps into the room.
While this is happening, Specs turns around and looks at Basilisk. Hi. Can you stop calling him a dumb idiot? That would be great. That's my best friend, you know. And I'll break your neck if you keep doing it.
Oh, God.
What did I even walk into?
More nonsense. Welcome,
A horrific
Thelen.
smell, a cold room, and some bristling people standing against one another.
Did you find anything?
So good to see you again, Thelen. I did enjoy our time on the ship. And there's a smile that you definitely recognize.
You see this half-elven man who seems to have his own skin laid out on the bed.
It's the decoy skin, I say.
Yeah, they were telling us about the decoy there.
The decoy skin that everybody just has.
Oh, I don't know. That seems fucking weird, says one of the Watchblades. Having a decoy skin, I've never once heard of that in my 22 years.
Well, try living 23.
Oh no, I've been working 22 years. I'm way older than that, but thank you, miss. That's very flattering of you to say. I'm glad I can still comport. Shut up! One of them hits him on the chest. Oh, so sorry.
Keep up the good work, and one day you'll have a skin like this of your own. And I wink.
I wouldn't mind a skin. Says
that one. We're gonna keep an eye on the one that said that.
You want a metal one?
Whoa! Can you put skins on?
Yeah. You want to find out?
Oh man,
it's about to get weird.
No.
Okay. I just thought, it's a long process, grinding some gears and some bones, making gear bones. Yeah.
Okay. Righteous, he says.
Thelen, did you find anything while you were exploring the other rooms?
A lot of bodies. I do want to look in that book that Montgomery gave you. I have a theory, but I think it's best not to discuss in the house. Just in case there's something still crawling around in here. And I just kind of tilt my head at the Watchblades like...
Or you thieves can't about the watch.
Oh, I thieves can't about the Watchblades. Forgot thieves can't exists.
So, for those of you at home who are unfamiliar with what Thieves' Cant is, it is a series of subtle clues, vocalized, shown through hand signals, small symbols put on the body like pins, things like that. So, what I would like you to do, Thelen, so that we can let people at home know what it is, tell us, the players, what you want to tell to Basilisk, and then have a conversation with Basilisk that has literally nothing to do with anything for just a little while. So what are you trying to tell Basilisk in Thieves' Cant?
that we need to ditch the watch blades.
Now, have a conversation with Basilisk about the weather, chickens, something random that makes no sense at all.
Oh, it's rather chilly in here. And if you look at the time, it shouldn't be that cold this time of day, don't you think?
Oh, darling, I don't know if we have time for that. And we have people watching.
Yes, well, who doesn't like a good watch every now and then? I think I perform better with it.
Oh my, sweetheart.
So Basilisk, from this exchange, you pick up from the subtle inflection of words, the tap of fingers on palms, the scratch of fingernails, and the strange kind of way every other one of the 8 people here that don't know what you're talking about look very fucking confused by that conversation. That Felon is trying to tell you that you need to find some time alone away from these prying eyes.
I think I guess I have a feeling that while this is happening, Gragnar and Specs is just like
the two of you
they all go.
The 4 of you nod in unison, and everyone else is like, "What did they? What?"
We're planning to go have sex. Did anyone actually feel? Can we get a little privacy for that, or did you want to stay and watch?
Close the door with my mind.
You hit one of the watch blades that's standing in the door, and they go, "What the hell?"
That door's a little weird, isn't it?
Okay, like, you want to have sex in a room that smells like a pile of corpses after you found cut-up bodies of noble people and scared children? I'm not buying it.
We don't kink shame here, sir.
That's disgusting. This room's disgusting. I want a clean one, but when the woman walks in, I turn into a bit of a beast. And I grab her hand and I'm like, let's find somewhere nicer. I'm gonna walk along the rooms for an empty one.
Ash says, "You can help yourself to our bedroom," and swings open the spare bedroom up here. And you see that it is also kind of palatially appointed. There is a crystal sitting on the side table, casting a pale pinkish glow into the room, as globules of what looks to be some kind of lit fluid float in this empty chamber inside of a crystal. And she says, "That's a lava lamp," and gestures for you to go inside.
Can I make an insight check on that?
On what? The lava lamp?
Being a lava lamp?
On the lava lamp?
Yeah, auto 20, you're pretty sure it's just some kind of weird fucking lamp.
Okay, I just want to make sure it wasn't like a listening.
No.
That's perfect. Okay. Well,
the 2 of you are left alone. You hear Ash outside being like, "Go on, go, no, nobody peeks, no peering."
Take my shirt off before I even get inside.
While they walk away, oh wow,
this is the weirdest fucking shift I've ever had. Oh yeah, this one's a strange one.
My belt and just kind of dragging it along behind me in my other hand.
I look at Specs and I say in telepathy,
we had the same thought. Thank you.
They really could have chose a different set of words there.
Anything. They could have said bunnies. They could have said owlbear, but instead they said sex.
I usually just say birthday candles.
I've talked about gummy worms before.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So, Liz, what's your deception bonus?
Hold on. I had closed my character sheet.
Is that something?
You closed your character sheet in
D&D? This was not the +5.
So mine is a +7. So could Liz help me in deceiving the guards into thinking that it's actually happening while we're talking in Thieves' Camp instead? I don't want to act that one out.
I was gonna say who's Liz, but yeah, it's fine. Yeah, Yeah, you and Felling could probably do plenty of speaking in gesticulation, hand movements, things like that, while making other noises.
Kicking the bed every once in a while.
I will say that because we heard what was going on, obviously, and like we're not going to join them to keep their ruse so we're like confused at why they chose that. While I'm with Gragnar, you would see me just start like tapping my hand or whatever, doing small somatic things as I thaumaturge like a rumble in that room. Like as if things are really like
one of the guards, one of these watchblades, kind of says, "Do we think the house is going to collapse?" And another one says, "Oh no, I don't think so. I think that's just probably their yeah."
Whew. I heard stories about don't go in there. That's not going to be a good idea. Ugh.
One of the other watchblades is like, "Well, obviously we're not going in there.
Look, I don't know what you are.
Really hard.
Just saying. I don't even do that. Just so you know, I'm not okay.
Gragnar, one of the watchblades, probably the feminine voiced one, comes up to you a little bit shorter than the rest and says, "If you want us to leave, just tell us where to go." And she kind of taps the side of her head like maybe she knows this is some kind of weird thing you're all doing to get some time alone. And you see she takes the tip of her finger and runs it down her breastplate, off to the side towards her heart, and then back across, going down like towards her ribs. And you know that that's a sign in thieves' cant for like-minded or I understand kind of thing. Like not throwing shade or saying anything out of sorts, but just kind of I've been there. Like it's a little old, out of practice almost. Like it's maybe a life they've left behind, but you do see it.
I would probably say in telepathy, first off, don't worry. I'm not in your mind. I'm just communicating with you here. I think you and your friend should probably go somewhere else, just for a little while. Check upstairs. There's some ghouls up there that you might want to take a look at and let your boss know about. I understand you're not in this profession anymore, but some of us still are, and we have work to do. It's really hard to do it with y'all standing around there.
She, when she steps back towards the door, says to everyone else with her hand like on her hip, like she's going for a dagger. But you see she runs her fingers along the dagger and then touches pointer finger, middle, thumb, ring, which is something along the lines of, we're trustworthy. But it's fleeting, not pressing the matter. And she says, we need to police these bodies. Let them get their fuck on. We need to get these bodies out of here. And the others like nod. All right. They nod grimly and kind of follow her down the hallway.
So.
Wow.
What do we do with the decoy skin? Do we take that, or is that?
I'm not fucking touching that. That's just
all right. Yeah, I think it's too heavy to lift with my mind for right now, so I think we just leave it on the bed like that.
Great.
The book. What was in the book?
You
didn't get a look?
Why would I look at it? I was upstairs.
How did you know that sword related to demons?
I really don't know. I was looking at it and it was just like, it's just like things that were, I thought you heard it. Never.
No,
mind, I guess.
No. Let's finish this and then you need to get a good little bit of rest.
Yeah, I'm having some weird moments. Like, I remember I was standing in the hallway and then like, oh, you got hurt. And literally the next thing I remember, I was standing over you. And it was like, no, maybe I had an adrenaline rusher, but
yeah. I bet that's what it is.
Yeah, probably.
So,
Or maybe I'm just getting old.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's possible. Yeah, I think realistically that's possible. So, Basilisk and Thelen, did the guards go with them, or is their room unoccupied as well?
Their room, other than the sounds of screaming sex and the thump of beds, is henceforth unoccupied as all of the watchblades go down the hallway. Ash is standing in the midpoint of the hallway, looking a little confused, and you see that her eyes are very, very inhumanly large on her head. She kind of shakes her head, and they go back to normal.
That was who?
Ash.
Oh.
I'll reach into my pocket and pull out a quick sheet of paper and write "We ditched them" on it, and then just send it underneath the doorway.
Okay. Thelen and Basilisk, the two of you have been having a conversation. What have you been saying?
I would have just given Thelen the book and then whatever she had to say after that.
I'll have taken my little evidence handkerchief because plastic baggies don't exist. I found this. I also found 5 other bodies, but not the one that this belongs to. But that Montgomery fellow said everyone and their descriptions are in this book. So if we find someone who has this color hair, I think we might be on to something. What? I don't know, but something. And I'm just gonna try and thumb through the little bookie book, see if I can find something that matches that color.
You flip through, and people who would be here overnight had a much more detailed accounting of who they are, where they came from, what they had to offer, if they were lying about wanting to work there, if they had been twisted by some outside influence to spy on the family. All of that is written in this book, and it's very well detailed. The one that you spot takes a little bit of flipping. It's actually 14 years she's been working here, but she is the only person written in the book to have rose-colored hair, which is the closest you can imagine to strawberry blonde. The name is Heliana Birch.
I'm just gonna rip her pages out of the book.
There is one page. She was
I'm
6.
going to rip her singular page.
She was 6 when she started working here under the Lady Valhurst as a handmaiden.
I think I found us a winner. What this means, I have no idea. But here we have it.
There's also note that she has 2 mothers who live in a house here in the city, and a recent accounting on that same page near the bottom says that she has a younger brother now who should only be about 5 years old.
I think we have an address of where to look. I know if I survived an explosion, I'd want to run home to my mother, though she probably would have been the one that caused the explosion, so never mind. Seems like a good place to look.
I'd say so. At least we're out of here.
A piece of paper slides under the door that says, "We ditched them."
Well?
A rumbling...
Yeah, the room's been rumbling. You've been letting out screams.
Yep.
The whole 9.
Kind of like a almost an Al Gore from Futurama. like
You mean Nixon?
Apt.
Yes, thank you, Nixon. Yes, and then just grabbing the paper, pocketing it. I'm probably just gonna leave the book with Thelen. Well,
The door swings open, and you see Gragnar and
I
Specs are
was like
standing there.
taking my hair out, so it's all like.
Yeah. Gragnar and Specs are the only two standing there.
isn't Ash out there?
Nope.
Oh.
As Specs and Gragnar pass, unbeknownst to the four of you, she becomes an owl and flies out of the window in the bedroom.
So,
I don't know if I like that one.
did you all figure out what you needed to figure out, or I mean, just making sure, because maybe.
Thelen found us a place to go.
Oh, good. Do we still have the sword? Is it still
Oh
smelly?
yeah,
It's
I
still
kept it.
Yeah. I imagine for simplicity's sake, you probably handed it off to Specs.
That's
Because
not-
having sex with a ichor-covered, disgusting frozen sword would be weird. Yeah, Specs.
Hey, no kink shaming.
Yeah.
Absolute kink shaming. If you
But
use
when-
demon ichor-covered frost swords in your play, reevaluate things.
Gotta have the decoy skin.
Yeah,
No
hashtag
decoy skins, no frozen demon ichor blades. Go to baddragon.com. They got you covered.
Oh, I don't know what that
I'm
is.
scared. I'm scared.
Cut it. Cut it.
Oh,
cut
God.
You see Gabe just disappear.
Oh no! Oh no!
I don't even know what that is.
I've never been more curious and
And
yet more
I'm like
afraid.
scared. I'm probably gonna look
Oh,
it up.
boy.
Don't you
Oh,
JV
Lord.
me, Tia. You can JV
Oh,
me when
boy.
you're here.
That
Anyway.
means she knows.
A lot of people
Now that
seem
would
to
be
have known.
kink shaming, and we're not going to go
Oh
there.
boy.
Anywho, flip it and reverse it.
So
Once-
do we want?
Once
Yeah,
you
you
open the
go.
door, I would have definitely been like, "Here, take this.
Thank
Sword.
you.
Take your buddy." Ah.
Still cold, still reeks.
Should we head over that way then? Should we rest?
Not here. I don't.
You have not slept,
Yeah, exactly. I'm like,
and you
we
have
need to
been
like
through quite the ordeal.
not for a bit.
We could head back to the inn that I've been staying in.
We have money to afford it.
I think that sounds good to me. I really don't want to sleep here, frankly.
Yeah, no, we're not sleeping here.
No.
But Ragnar, you're going to sleep.
Yeah.
I'll
we both
watch
need
you.
some rest.
I'm fine. Well, I'm not fine, but I'll watch you.
Well, that's appreciated, but it's not necessary. I'll be all right.
I said what I said.
Just let him watch you. It's
Yeah.
easiest for everyone.
Right. Your concern is appreciated. Did we want to see if there was a basement on our way out?
Yes.
Do we? Oh,
We don't have to enter it to see it exists.
I mean, fine. Yeah, that's fine. I guess.
From where you are, you see that the Watchblades are carting out on bed sheets and clean bed linens these people and what's left of them from the bedroom. They're going in twos and gently, gingerly going down the stairs. One of them says, "That's everyone." Out to the lot of you. It seems that the bristliness and some of the playfulness of the situation before has been leached from them as they're grimly doing this dark, dark task. We're going to go downstairs. Don't die between here and there, or we will probably follow you.
We'll do our best.
We'll be
They go
fine.
down the stairs.
Is there a basement?
If you descend and go all the way to the bottom floor, you see Zusog and the remaining Watchblades. There are some 14 in total here, downstairs, upstairs, and on the second floor. They have canvassed the whole house, and though they have a box filled with suspicious materials, random things they find in the bedrooms, Zusog stops you all as you begin to look around. and says, "Apologies for the curtness," he says. "I've heard that you're on the case to find out who did this and who's causing such a ruckus in my city. And for that, you have my absolute gratitude." And he tilts his head. He says, "We in the Watchblades are overworked. I think you know this city is tumultuous at best, especially with the merchants and the endless revelries. I am not trying to stand in your way. I came to help. We've looked through the rest of the house, and I have found nothing. If you're on your way to the basement, I have also been there. The wine cellar is intact. Nothing is stolen. It is untouched. I'm going to have 5 of my men remain here for 2 days' time. After that, they will have to go back on rotation, but I will ensure nothing in this house is touched when we leave today."
Thank you.
Do you have a way of just, because like you said, you're overworked and we're trying to do what we can. Do you have any sort of way of getting in contact with us if you find out anything?
Absolutely. We have couriers in the city. They can find you in a couple hours at most. Probably sooner.
1, that's creepy. 2, that's good.
3,
You have
that's
been registered
creepy.
as very important people. You must have friends in high places.
Oh, we're VIP. That doesn't happen often.
Where is your young ward? He asks.
Our young ward.
Ashrava, Everbleed.
She's getting some fresh air.
He nods.
We have our own ways. They have theirs.
He nods again. And he says, "The adventuring life is not foreign to me. I know you have your own methods to doing things. We will stay out of your way. Ensure that she remains intact if you can." He nods again, like begging you to nod along.
Oh, I can guarantee if they get hurt on our behalf, we're all dead. Just ask the guy who's on the ship who's just like wrapped around pulled. Yeah, like we're dead.
He says, "What ship?" And then he
Never mind.
gives you the head tilt, like, that's, don't. And then he turns on his heel and says, "Come on," and walks out. You see that 5 of these Watchblades, fan out, one on each corner of the house and one near the lift. The rest of them descend. And a few minutes later, they send back up the elevator. If you want to check the house, you absolutely can, but for brevity's sake, when you look, everything seems fairly untouched and all in working order. The 3rd floor is really the only place where any chaos unfolded, other than the staircase leading down, where the children were dragged out by Watchblades and kept safe.
Now that we're making some money, and they seemed pretty thorough and not high job satisfaction, maybe one day we hire them.
It's a thought. And not a bad thought either.
Rather send one of them in first.
Well, we don't want to use them as bait. However, they can do the things above ground that I don't know your style. That's gross. But they can do some things that we can't do above ground, so to speak.
Yeah.
So we're going to go to the inn and go to sleep?
Yeah, that's what I'd like to do. What about you all?
Before we leave, I want to give Montgomery his book back, minus the page that I ripped out, and also nick a bottle of that wine in the wine cellar.
Montgomery takes the book from you, and he can clearly see there's a page missing. It's not super hard to tell. But he just nods kind of somberly, and he says, "Yeah, if you need to hang on to it, you can, but if you need me, I'm here." He says, "The Valhurst were always good to me. Good people. Sincere people. Fast friends. Whatever did this, it deserves to rot in the abyss."
I'll keep that in mind. We very might need your help soon.
He nods, and he says, "I'm staying at the Gold Giant. I have some friends there. I've been staying there for quite a while. My house is a little outside of the city, but I'll stay here for a few days. In case you need me, you can find me there.
Thank you. And thank you again for patching everyone up.
He extends his hand in friendship to each of you in turn, seeming to have gotten a good impression of all of you despite the craziness that seems to accompany you wherever you go.
Yeah, as he takes my hand, I'd probably look him in the eyes and smile and say, I owe you one. Likewise, if you need help, you let us know. Or at least just me. And I let go.
He does one of those half smiles and he says, I sincerely appreciate it, my friend. Sincerely. And then, awkwardly, the five of you ride this elevator down together, even though you've said your goodbyes. And he says, the city sure is super nice from this high. And you see, circling this lift as it descends, an owl, a brown spotted owl that's very familiar to you specifically, Dylan, but all of you have seen it once before. And waiting for you at the bottom, you see Ash. She seems chipper and more playful than before, and refreshed and invigorated. And
what
where
time
are
is
we
it?
going? It's early morning at this point. You've stayed up all night. It's probably 6 a.m. if I had to guess. A few hours to canvass the whole house.
We're gonna go to an inn or something. Apparently, Thelen has stayed there. We need to rest before we figure out what's next.
Well,
And I'm just going to extend my hand to her to take my hand.
She takes your hand and she says, I am with you wherever you go.
And I'm going to lead everyone to the Angry Beard.
Best tavern name.
We're like
It's an inn, thank you. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, sorry.
We're the Wizard of Oz and Ash's Toto.
At the Angry Beard Chalet, you step inside. It's this 3-story... Ooh, all of you froze for a second. At the Angry Beard Chalet, it's this 3-story building. Oh, God. You're all looking around, confused. Are you okay?
It was the elevator ride.
Okay. At the Angry Beard Chalet, this 3-story house, or this 3-story building, it seems to be catering more towards wealthy clientele. It has the same type of amenities you just left a moment ago. You see, sitting behind the front desk, next to a tome filled with names, scribbling with a quill, this halfling man standing on a bar stool. He's still at chest level. He has a huge, thick, curly beard that goes up to just beneath his eyes, wraps around his nostrils, and connects with his beard, as though he's wearing a reverse helmet. And he says, welcome to the Angry Beard. Ellen, darling. He hops down and comes around and gives you a pat on the hand. And he says, I thought you had left us. Do you want something to eat? You look tired.
I would love something. I think we all would.
He says, the 5 of you just go in there and sit down. We'll bring out some food. We can cover the costs later.
Thank you.
Nearby, probably 5 or 6 blocks from here, a nobleman sits in his study. He taps a finger, tap, 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 frustratingly on a scrap of parchment he has been scrawling names on. There's a familiar, soft knock at the door. He says, come in, Chas. It's fine. An old servant man steps in this well-appointed office. His bushy salt and pepper mustache covers his curled-up soft grin. Tea, my lord, to ease your night? Is it still night, or is it morning? The nobleman laughs and pinches the bridge of his nose. It is morning, sir. This serving man sets down a tray, a silver tray, atop the desk and begins to pour tea into a small cup. Thank you, Chess. The nobleman lets out a soft sigh. As the servant's hand slides through his tunic, his jacket, his stomach, past his ribs, and up into his chest. The nobleman takes in a rattling breath, as if to scream. Cruel-looking, broken teeth, inhumanly sharp, jut from beneath this curled, perfect mustache. Right before the mouth snaps closed, over top of the nobleman's mouth and nose, muffling his screams. And that is where we will end tonight's session, everyone.
Yo, you gotta stop doing this, bro.
Y'all gotta make some progress. Track down the leads.
Yeah.
You're getting so close. You're getting all the little threads. I'm loving it. But that is our session tonight, everyone. How are we feeling? Are we okay? I know there was a lot of gore tonight. I hope that didn't skeeve anyone in the chat out. We tried to be very forthcoming that that's going to be kind of a recurring theme with my games. It's just something that I think heightens a lot of tension and really grounds things in humanity. But I do apologize if that was a little icky for you guys at home. It's pretty rough today. But moving forward, it's going to be a little more okay. Yeah, decoy skin was rough. Yeah. We okay, everybody? Everyone doing all right?
Yeah.
Thank you for the bits again. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, that?
Not icky enough if you ask me. Okay, Wonder. All right, gotcha.
Decoy skin didn't do
So
it.
more decoy skins.
Funny story. I am actually getting together a group of Twitch streamers who have never played D&D before in their lives or played one session and have no idea what they were doing to do a string of games, maybe 3 or 4. And we're going to just call it the Noob Cast and get some fresh faces and fresh players in to show that anybody at home who is watching this can play D&D. It is going to be a friendly little time. So if you're interested in learning how to play, stay tuned for that. Follow me on Twitter, and I'll keep you guys updated in that regard. But do we have any cool announcements or anything? We need to go through the cast, and we'll start, as always, with my bestie, Critical Bard. How are things? How are you? Did you like the session?
Oh, yeah, I loved it. I love this group. I just love all the small things. I really good side note. I think Specs is going to have to, well, not have to. He's going to have to learn Basilisk. What's the word I'm looking for? Not just mannerisms, but the things that he does that they do in character, and realize that they're in character. Because, like, you keep insulting my best friend and you're going to get a robot hand to your face. But that's him with anybody. Like, he's super protective of Ragnar. But it was just funny.
I like it. I think it makes him feel more innocent. Because, like, I'm way older and it's like, whatever, I've been insulted. But the fact that he gets so defensive for him, I think it's cool.
But way older, wink. Anywho, but yeah, Critical Bard here. Some things that are happening for me, not this Saturday, aka tomorrow, but next Saturday. You can actually catch me on 2 really cool streams. One at 9 a.m. EST. I'll be on Scraticus's Twitch in their 24-hour charity stream.
That's awesome.
That's going to be great. And then after that's done, a couple hours later, I'm going to be on the Roll20 Twitch as we play some Call of Cthulhu. I've never actually played, so that's going to be great.
Yeah, I'm glad I can prepare you today for Call of Cthulhu.
Lots of gore.
Sweet.
I'm pretty excited about that.
Vestigial appendages.
Right. Other than that, yeah, that's really what I do. You can get my merch at cryptbard.com. I'll put it in the channel. Do me a favor, if you do something, use PayPal because reasons. But yeah, I got shirts, this hat, many other things. But yeah, quickfire.com. Show some love.
Awesome. Justice, how are things? How are you? Did you enjoy the session? What's going on?
Yeah, I thought it was really cool. I liked it a lot. Missed Latia, obviously, but she was here in spirit and chat, so that was nice. Stuff going on. Let's see. Getting ready to ship the Eberron Gold Edition, so that's going to be really cool. So those are still available for pre-order, and we'll probably bring some of them to conventions. Next convention Beetle and Grims will be at is GaryCon, and I'll be there as well. So if you're going to GaryCon, come say hello next month. I've also got a giveaway going on Twitter at Justice_Armin. So
what are you giving away, Justice?
I'm giving away a copy of the Wildmount book. So pretty cool. Might even give away 2. We'll see.
Yeah, that's super great.
But that's it.
Latia at Lady Tiefling on Twitter is fantastic. Pimping some really great looking shirts these past few days, especially for community manager. That is so great. What did I say? Did I say something wrong? At the Lady Tiefling?
There is a Lady Tiefling who's a separate person.
Oh, I missed the V earlier today trying to look her up to tag her and something. I've been doing that real bad lately. The Lady Tiefling. You can see it on the screen. Go and give Latia a follow, please. Liz, how'd you like the session? What's up? Everything okay? You were actually not a robot? No power
I
went
wasn't.
out? You were
no
here
power
early?
went out. Yeah.
She does
Oh my
no
God,
robot
really?
right now.
Snowed in. Can you tell?
I called it into existence. You robot right at the last minute. But yes, snowed in the deep winter, still here for us. Thanks so much.
Listen, Demon Icker always makes deep winter better.
Demon Icker makes deep winter better. I like it.
No kink shaming.
rolls off the tongue. Gabe, what's up? How'd you like the session? What's going on with you?
This was fun. Next Wednesday, I'm actually going to be guesting on a show that I run production for that CB is on my Mythic Grove channel. On a show Where Roots Remain, which has been an interesting Dungeons and Dragons campaign that is significantly less focused on combat and much more focused on the narrative. They have a farm, and I think they found a dead body, if that sounds right. Yeah, it's weird, but it's interesting.
It is very wholesome in ways.
I have a couple other D&D projects coming up. I wrote about 20 new magical items in the last week, so I have those queued up on Patreon, and I don't sleep, so there's probably going to be a lot more stuff.
Just be sure to take care of yourself, okay?
Oh, yeah. I'm probably going to pass the hell out after this.
And as always, I am at Drop the Die on Twitter, also known as JB in Meat Space. You can come check out my Twitter. I do a lot of, life tweets, like reminding you to drink water and wash your pillowcases. So if you need a Twitter dad, come give me a follow. I also do dice giveaways and have a bunch of magic items just like Gabe on my Patreon, Magic Item Monday. So stay tuned for that. Right. But with that, we're going to let our lovely cast go about their lives tonight. Thank you all so much for coming in and watching the game. And we will see you next time.